So a very warm welcome here on Saturday afternoon here at the opening round of the 2021 Wirra Tools Motorsport UK British Kart Championships, being held here in Dorset at the famed Pigeon Raceway. Inaugurated back in 1963, this track is fast, it's flowing, it's also a technical challenge for the drivers and spans just 815 metres. With Honda Cadet lap times just a shade over 40 seconds, as we found out earlier in qualifying today. Paul James joins me. Now Paul, this circuit is a true test for any Honda Cadet driver. So realistically, what are the first sort of things that you've got to approach this track with in terms of setup and consistency?
It's one of the many few circuits that are fast and flowing. Great circuit at Clay Pigeon. Yeah, it's quite challenging. Even though it's a short distance, the circuit, with limited amount of corners, it's always one to show the real races, because it's all about late lunges, keeping your momentum going, and also the train of karts is always going to be very, very close in every race that we are put upon this weekend.
Especially in Honda Cadet, because we always find that in racing in Honda Cadet, people start to work together, even though they might be under different awnings or different teams. They'll know each other well off of the track. But myself and obviously lead commentator for the Motorsport UK Championships, British Kart Championships, Henry Baudet, would agree and testify to this, that when you get to a couple of laps to go, that's when the elbows come out, the gloves come off, first and foremost, and we'll see plenty of that in the pre-finals and the finals tomorrow. But one of the other things is turns 1 to 2, very technical challenge. It's not exactly a straight line down to the first hairpin. What's your approach in terms of how you, as a racing driver, obviously through your pedigree, through your past exploits, how would you attack that?
You've got to be very, very confident around here. Obviously, you're going into the first corner, approaching it at top speed, even if it's a rolling start or a standing start. Of course, you've got a field of karts behind you if you qualify well. So it's very, very important that obviously you hold your ground, make sure that you're in control, and also that the drivers behind you don't find a way past you, and you've got to keep your car as close as you can to the inside white line to get around that first couple of bends.
Now obviously just in front of our position here, we're actually just off of the chicane, turns 3 and 4. Now obviously you carry that momentum through from turn 2 into 3 and 4. What's your approach? Because you've really got to nail it on the inside, but there are opportunities where someone could carry that momentum through, coming round the outside of turn 2 and really line it up for the second part of that chicane. Is that right?
Yes, same. Like, you need to be in control, of course, by getting a good or get on the accelerator really well out the first corner, rising the curve a little bit to give you traction off the concrete curve, because obviously the rubber bites into it a little bit better. And where the track drops away through the first corner, it actually goes downhill. So the kart goes light just before the chicane. So it's very important to keep your eye line focused on the inside of the curb, using the curve on the entry and not smashing it so hard through the second part of the chicane to get a good exit, not hitting the sausage curve, which is right behind me.
Now after that run through the chicane, just behind us, right up there, it's a bit of a long drag coming out of the chicane heading towards turn 5. Now I've commentated here on the Daytona D-Max Championships in September of 2017, and I did actually see it go 4 abreast. I've actually even shown Paul the footage, and he couldn't believe it as well, when the line that I uttered was, that was not on at all. Vinod Harani and Chris Monroe, you guys definitely know what I will be talking about, as well as Chris McCarthy. But it is a very long run up there. Obviously in qualifying, Group 1, there was a slight spit of rain, but then the heavens opened with just over 2 minutes of the session. Obviously Hugh Roche was one of the drivers. I counted, I think, 7 drivers. When you're on slicks and coming into that corner, it can be very, very difficult to circumnavigate it. And you've really got to nail the apex and not give the opposition a chance to come through the next part of it, through into the next left-hander. Is that right?
Yeah, it's quite a wide part of the track going into the hairpin. It's very hard because obviously you come off this chicane, if you hit the sausage curve, you're going to lose momentum. But obviously you're going to have the drag. It goes uphill leading up to the hairpin, and then obviously drops down last minute before the braking zone. And there is no marker points going into the hairpin. You've got to judge by basically looking ahead and just looking at the inside curve to see where the apex is before you hit the anchors. Obviously, as a driver, the braking is as you turn in. You're never just braking a straight line going down to the hairpin. You've got to brake as late as possible so that other driver behind you can't get the advantage by overtaking you. You've got to go real deep.
Now, obviously, we've had a couple of heats here in Honda Cadet today. Heats 1 and 2. Heat 3 is tomorrow. One of the biggest things coming out of that corner is you've really got to set yourself up for the next infield section, and it is a double left, which then goes into the sweeping right-hander that brings you onto the start-finish straight, which will put you at around about 40.3 seconds, which was what we saw a few drivers in qualifying Group 1 do earlier on today. Now, that section, Paul, is also rather testing for the drivers because you're carrying momentum. Sometimes I do see it in not just European karting through my commentary travels, but also here domestically. We do see some drivers try and shift their body weight a little bit whilst rotating the karts through. It's a good way of carrying the momentum and getting the real good purchase and really nailing the apexes.
Yeah, for sure. So basically, we've got to get on the gas pretty quick. Actually, you've got to aim for the apex. The apex is at the obviously top of this small little hill. It sort of climbs, then obviously climbs all the way through. You need to remember, obviously, you've got to look through the corner and hold that right arm nice and firm to get through the corner, because you're going uphill and you're producing power into through your pedal, or through your leg, into your pedal, all the way through the corner. As you come out of the hairpin, of course, the kart always wants to take you to the outside of the circuit. So it's very important to try and keep the kart in the middle, to get a clean exit through the right, over the old, I'd say, finish line. Not the start line, the old finish line. It used to be there, which used to be a recipe for disaster back in my junior days. Hence the reason why they moved it to the start-finish line to make it more practical, leading up to the last corner. And the last corner is pretty hairy because it's fast. And if you do miss the apex or hit the curb and get it wrong, you're skating to the outside of the circuit, where it's obviously a bit of a hairy ride if you hit the curb.
Well, Paul, thank you very much for your insight. That's it for our dedicated track insight here at Clay Pigeon Racing. The Blue Army out in force. 9 out of 34 drivers go into battle for Heat 3 tomorrow, and the pre-final and the finals. Don't forget, you can catch all the action on the Alpha Live YouTube channel, the Motorsport UK British Kart Championships Facebook page, and also for this season, what's more, motorsport.tv will be broadcasting all the action live, so join the commentators Henry Burdett and Anthony Jordan for tomorrow morning.